Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that'll kind of give you plot synopsis and character bios for the issue we're going to look at today. Uncanny X-Men Annual Number 5 from 1981. I am serializing all X-Men related stuff during the Chris Claremont era in reading order. So, I do have a playlist. Feel free to check that out. Everything's in order from Giant Size X-Men number 1, which I covered as Classic X-Men number 1 because that's how I read it. And I went through Classic X-Men all the way until Classic X-Men stopped with the backup stories, and then I just went to straight. I have this issue. I have most of Chris Claremont's run on X-Men, either by Classic X-Men or in the actual X-Men magazine. So we get this cover here by Brent Anderson. Oh La La Badoon, co-starring the Fantastic Four. Now, this issue, I don't know if Chris Claremont just didn't feel it. I don't think this issue is particularly well. It is an annual, so it's a one and done. So here we go. So again, like it was in there, Ooh La La Badoon. That is the name of our story here. Claremont, Brent Anderson, who did Astro City. Bob McLeod is the inker, and of course, Orzechowski and Ween are letter and colorist. Louise Jones, who ends up becoming Louise Simonson, and Jim Shooter, who is perhaps the greatest editor-in-chief Marvel ever had. Although Quesada is a very close second, because Quesada's run was very well too. So we're in the Baxter Building here. We got the Fantastic Four. We got the. I know it's 1981 and stuff, and for Chris Claremont, for being such a feminist, he really does put women in very traditional here. So you can see her wearing her apron here, and she's going, Benjamin, did I or did I not send you to tell Reed and Johnny that dinner was ready? So she's the home baker, leave the men to work. And so Johnny says, hi sis, and the thing says, Susie, well, you see her like this. Reed said he needed a hand, and Reed Richards with the pipe. I even from 1981, I'm like, okay. This looks like straight out of the 60s. I kid you not. So, steady, old friend. These adjustments are critical, says Reed Richards here. And so, this is maybe it's in character, maybe it isn't. I don't know. I wasn't. This is during John Byrne's run. John Byrne was already taken over, and Susan Storm wasn't a homemaker. So I don't know. Maybe Chris Claremont's getting revenge on Byrne. So. Reed Richards, how could you? I spent all afternoon slaving in the kitchen, preparing a meal with my own hands instead of letting the house computer do it. And now that everything's ready to go, no one's around to eat it. My dinner is, in a word, ruined. So, the thing says, Reed, you listening? Because if you ain't, you better catch the next plane plane to Outer Mongolia. Listen, what? Oh, I'm sorry, Sue. We'll be done here as soon as I connect these final circuits. So. And she's like, after all these years, I should have known better. As far as I'm concerned, you gentlemen can live on pizza and junk food. And the thing is like, sounds good to me, Susie. How about ordering a couple of dozen pies? I'm starving. And she's like, order them yourself, you Philistine. And so here comes Franklin. Mommy, quick. The red light is flashing on Daddy's big radio. The emergency monitor. All right, Franklin. Let's go see what's happening here. So this device is essentially a police scanner. I love the screen tones being employed here. And here's you see a shadow here. So there's a woman with a laser just outside of their area, and Sue says, "This is serious and nearby. We can't ignore it. I better tell Reed." And behind her, "Tell Reed what?" And it happened to be Mr. Fantastic here, who of course startles her. And so she's like, "Reed, every time you use your stretching powers to sneak up on me like that, you scare the life out of me." And he says, "This is evidently my day to say I'm sorry. I am sorry, truly, but you seemed so upset when you left the lab. I wanted to find you as fast as possible. Stretching was the most efficient way of doing that. Is something wrong?" And she says, "Not with me, not really. But listen to this broadcast should the FF get involved." And so we are moments later here, and you see the Fantastic Four are in action, and we see someone from the Shi'ar. And so it says here her name is Desandri, and of course we can see by the hair that she is one of the Shi'ar. It says here she is an Imperial Pathfinder, one of the finest scouts in the Shi'ar Starfleet, and tonight she is running for her life. And she thinks here, "I'm far, too far from those I seek, and and the hunters are too close behind me. I'd hope to lose them in this primitive conurbation." So, you can see her kind of shooting through this poor guy's radio here. "But the hunters are as good as their reputation. I've managed to cut down a few of them, but nowhere near enough. They'd have finished me off long ago, thanks to their accursed aura of invisibility." So here you can see that she's being shot. And so, "If not for the scanner on my weapon," and so the torch stops her. And here you can see here, "Brothers above us, a human. I don't know what your game is, but playtime's over." Of course, he doesn't see them. And Desandri says, "A Terran super being. He cannot see the hunters. He thinks I am the sole threat." And so the Human Torch explains that police reports were accurate and no one's been hurt or killed so far. So here's the those invisible, looks like some kind of reptile people. "CompuScan identifies these humans as the Fantastic Four, friends of our accursed foe, the Silver Surfer. They cannot perceive us. Excellent. With their unwitting aid, our quarry will be cornered and slain." So you can see the FF arrive right next to them. And as soon as they get there, bam, she's aiming for them, but ends up hitting the thing here. "Ben, that's enough out of you, young lady. My weapon. No, please, you do not understand." And so the thing is like, that thing packs a wallop. "You speak English, and you're an alien, but I've never seen a race like yours. I am Shi'ar. Listen, so little time. Akram Badoon threatening Lilandra. Danger, you must tell Xavier." And the guy here is like, "You've said enough, female. Blood, good lord, you're hurt." "True, fool, and when I fire my basic weapon, she will be dead." And she goes, zap. "Reed, what happened?" "I don't know, Johnny. There was a flash of light." And soon they're all shot here by those things here. And the Invisible Woman says that they're also invisible. And then when they land, she can see them here. And she goes, "They're horrible." So here the police arrive here. And local authorities, "Their weapons are ridiculously primitive, but CompuScan indicates that many more such vehicular units are approaching our position. Shall we fight, group leader?" "Bah, one does not fight mammals, one slaughters them. We have accomplished our primary mission. The Shi'ar is dead. The humans, though, are still alive. Bring them with us for interrogation before the Brother Royal. Activate dimensional teleporter." So they took the guys, but here's the Invisible Woman. And so everybody is left, and she tells them, "I'm Susan Storm of the Fantastic Four," which of course they would know because of that. But then all of a sudden she turns invisible. And so She's gonna go home, check on Franklin, and then she's gonna call Professor Xavier. So, and so Storm's basically remembering this is from the last annual. All right, so this is from X-Men Annual 4. And so Storm wakes up and she's like, it's another dream. But the images, the physical sensations were so real. Um, so she was having a nightmare about that moment here. And so she's thinking about it, making her skin crawl. And she hears someone. She wonders who it could be here. And here you can see. It's all right, darling. Don't be frightened. We're safe now, says Franklin. Oh, sorry, it says Storm because Franklin was concerned. I'm Susan Richards. Please help us. And you can see that she's coming through here. So now we've got the X-Men. And love this. Colossus and Kitty are playing with Franklin. Um, yes, Colossus is having an inappropriate relationship with Kitty Pryde, whom I don't know if Claremont thought enough of it. He is a young guy. He's between 18 to 21, I would say, but still, she's like 14 to 15, so I don't know. I know it's a couple years, but it is still a teenager. Um, so here's Moira McTaggart here, and Professor X says, "What can the X-Men do for you?" And so she recounts everything that happened, and she said that the woman called herself Shiar. Her last words were Akron, Badun, threaten Lalandra, danger, you must find, tell Xavier. Um, that's why she was killed and the FF kidnapped. I felt I had to come to you. And Storm says Archon, and she wonders if it's coincidence of her dream. And of course, we're getting exposition for the reader. Lalandra, the woman he loves, ruler of the galaxy-spanning empire, threatened, in danger. Professor, I think I must tell you of my of you all of some recent nightmares. So it says here then that Storm recounts them. Cyclops recognizes the Shi'ar blaster here. By the way, Cyclops has rejoined the X-Men after he had taken a short leave. This is after X-Men 150. So this annual follows X-Men 150. Like I said, I have a playlist. So Professor X says, you are senior member of the X-Men, Cyclops. What is your assessment of the situation? He says, obviously there's trouble. These Badoon evidently threaten both Archon and Lilandra. We're friends of both. I don't see that we have any choice. We have to go to their aid. So, we've no way of reaching the Shi'ar Empire, so we'll start with Archon. Mrs. Richard, I suggest. And she says, I'm coming with you, Cyclops. My husband, my brother, my friend, my teammates are prisoners somewhere. I intend to do my part to free them or avenge them. So, and look at Franklin here. Oh, Professor, I'm an X-Men too, you know. Do I get to go or do I get left behind? So, Professor X says, you've more than proven your worth, Sprite. I hate that name. Eventually we'll get Shadowcat. I think we get Ariel, then Shadowcat. If Cyclops and Storm have no objections, you have my permission. Oh boy, I'll go put on my new costume. It's even better than the last one. And so he tells everybody, I suggest the rest of you follow suit. Meet me here in 15 minutes. So everyone puts on their costume, which is kind of funny because every time you see them, they're in freaking costume all the time. So you think that they'd basically have them here. And so they're all waiting on Kitty, who shows up with this thing here. And she's like, what do you think? It's wonderful, isn't it? And Nightcrawler's like, it certainly is a surprise. Storm sighs, and Professor's like, an admirable effort, child, but under the circumstances, I believe your regular uniform will be far more appropriate. So, oh poo, you people have absolutely no taste. So, Cyclops, shouldn't we call on the Avengers for assistance? Says the Invisible Woman. I've already tried. According to their butler Jarvis, they're away on a mission. They always are on a mission. Do you want to wait for their return? And the Invisible Woman says, no. Too much time has passed already. Let's get the show on the road, she says. So, and a good thing that Cyclops still had those lightnings. He says, Archon's golden lightning bolts will teleport us to his world. I'm afraid the transition is somewhat wrenching. And the Invisible Woman says, goodbye, Franklin. I'll be back soon with Daddy. Until then, be a good boy. So they get transported. Sorry, X-Men Annual 3 was the last time that X-Men Annual 4 was the one with Stephen Strange. So that was my fault. I've been covering all these, so sometimes these do run together. So this would have been the 2 years before was that Archon story. So, all right. And Professor Xavier says, Godspeed, my X-Men. I wish I could go with you, fight by your side. I pray with all my heart that you return safe. And Wolverine finally speaks here. We've arrived, boss. And you see like a mess here. And of course, Kitty says, what a mess. And this person here says, Sacred Rings of Fire, my plan was successful. Greetings, X-Men. Never has your presence been more welcome. Your power so sorely needed. And Sasha, says Storm, and gives her a hug. She's apprenticed to Archon's Grand Vizier and a friend. How are you? What happened here, Sasha? Did you send the Shi'ar to Earth? Asked Nightcrawler. She says, no, Desandri was an escaped prisoner, acting independently of me, but with the same goal. Forgive me, my friend. It was I who mystically sent the dreams that tormented you, hoping that they would prompt the X-Men to investigate. We have been invaded and conquered. Our valiant Imperium Archon has taken prisoner by the Brotherhood of Badoon, says Sasha. I love the when there's no border on the panels here. Conquered, but yours is a race of warriors, Sasha. I wouldn't have thought such a thing was possible, says Cyclops. And Invisible Woman says, what about the Fantastic Four? Please, miss, on Earth the Badoon captured my husband, my brother, and my best friend. I know nothing of any recent off-world prisoners. I'm sorry, says Sasha. And Cyclops kind of consoles the Invisible Woman. Don't despair, Mrs. Richards. At least we seem to be on the right track. If they're here, we'll find them. And Invisible Woman says, will we, Cyclops? Alive, unharmed? I wish I could be half as certain as you. And Sasha says, follow me inside, my friends. It is not safe to stand in the open. The Badoon mount frequent air patrols and strafe anything that even looks suspicious. And so we're going to get a little bit of exposition of kind of what happened. So Sasha says, like you said, Cyclops, war is life to us. We are born and bred to it. But to even the most hardened reaver, there comes a time when the soul cries enough. Then months ago, I think we go down here. Such is a rare idyllic interlude occurred after you X-Men saved us from extinction. Then a month ago, the Badoon came, appearing as if by magic, catching us completely by surprise, seizing the capital and Archon in that first fateful attack. We fought bravely, turning our proud cities into charnel pits, but in vain. The cities are all now in Badoon hands. What remains of our forces are regrouping in the wildlands under the command of Archon's warlord. So the Badoon are like these apparently reptilian things here. Storm is revered among us as a demi-goddess. Archon is our Imperium. If the X-Men could liberate him, then he and Ororo could rouse the civil populace of the planet-wide world revolt that would overwhelm the Badoon, she says. And Wolverine says, just like that, huh, darling? Not a hope. What what would you have us do, Wolverine? Lie down and die, or worse, live in slavery? As ever, Logan, you are the soul of tact. And so, love Wolverine. I'm a realist, Storm. So Cyclops. He's only too polite to tell ya. Face it, the odds stink. Wolverine continues. And Invisible Woman says, but suppose the power of the Fantastic Four was added to yours, and if necessary, that of the Avengers as well. What about the odds then, Wolverine? And Cyclops asks, how did the Badoon invade, Sasha? How are they resupplied? And she explains to them, through a giant transdimensional stargate, they teleport on and off the planet from their main base in the heart of the wildlands. The headquarters of their brother royal is Archon's palace in the capital. That is where they hold the Imperium, and where I would surmise they would take the Fantastic Four. Admittance to the Citadel is forbidden to all male humans, but females, the more beautiful, the better, are welcome. So it looks like the Badoon like pretty women, so some traders entered voluntarily. Far more were taken forcibly in slaver raids. None have been seen since. And Cyclops says, thank you, Sasha. Have you a plan, Cyclops? The bare bones of one, Storm. You and Mrs. Richards will infiltrate the Citadel and rescue Archon and the Fantastic Four. Kitty, Colossus, and I will be your backup in case of trouble. We'll also cover your escape. Sasha, you, Nightcrawler, and Wolverine are put to the Stargate out of are to put the Stargate out of commission. That should deny them any immediate reinforcements. Nightcrawler says, I like a challenge as much as anyone, Cyclops, but this is ridiculous. If you notice, everyone seems kind of long. I think that's just his style. But everyone just sort of looks, if you take a look here, everyone has very long legs, how Brent Anderson draws them. And Wolverine says, this suicide, psych, you're stretching us pretty thin. And he says, I've no other options, Wolverine. The longer we wait, the stronger the Badoon become. If we can strike as hard and as fast as we can, cripple them, isolate their garrison, then Sasha's revolt might become feasible. Who knows, they might even succeed. And so Sasha says, this palace is a bombed out ruin, but I believe I can still find the proper attire for you both. So, Invisible Woman says, Cyclops, what do you think our chances, truthfully? They could be better. Why, Mrs. Richards, do you want to call it quits? And she yells, no, whatever happens, I'll stay till the end. And Cyclops says, and so will we. So, all right. Next chapter, and now Armageddon here. So they look like reptilian monkeys, perhaps? So, this here's Brother Royal. Quite the name here. Greetings, Terran. I am Brother Royal, commander of the expeditionary force which has conquered this mammal-infested mud ball, and which will soon conquer your own. For years we have patiently observed your world. We have learned much. Your science and technology is primitive. That is good, but the Earth seems possessed of an incredible number of creatures such as yourself with enhanced physical abilities. And so he says, this is not good. You will tell us all we require about these super beings, Reed Richards, that we may most efficiently exterminate them. So, and here's Johnny and the Thing here. You creep, Reed won't betray the Earth. None of us will, even if you torture us like you did Archon. We shall see, stripling. Begin the interrogation. And so they're using some kind of energy on Reed with a lot of Kirby dots here being administered here. All right. So outside, this is Archon's palace. I remember the layout from the X-Men's last visit. Once inside, I can easily lead us to the dungeons. Cyclops is in position. Are you ready? That would be Storm. Susan, you're trembling. Are you unwell? And so the Invisible Woman says, I am frightened, Ordodo. After all these years, After all the foes the Fantastic Four have fought, I still can't take this life. My role in it as the Invisible Girl. She was the Invisible Girl at this time, but I call her the Invisible Woman because that's eventually who she becomes. And she wasn't a girl. So, by the way, why aren't they invisible? She could have just. But I digress. I envy your composure and your courage. You know, Storm, we share the same name. What? That scream, it's Reed. By the way, it's Susan Storm. That's her maiden name. Susan, no. Let me go. He sounds like he's in agony. And, oh, Storm, what are those monsters doing to him? And Storm says, it does not matter. Compose yourself. Draw on your own natural courage. It is considerable. It will sustain you. To act in haste will only destroy us and your loved ones. Is that what you want? No. Good. Let us go, my friend. The lion's den awaits. So here they go. Halt. State your business. And Storm says, we have been summoned by Brother Royal. We are to provide entertainment. And so he takes off their robes. You are indeed. First, we must make certain you carry no concealed weapons. Search them, my brother. And so, of course, they're wearing sexy-ish gear because the Badoons are into it. But look at them. Why aren't they? I have such a in my vision of what I mean. No one would be out in underwear. In it just that's okay. All right. Are you satisfied, warrior? Says Storm. You may proceed, brother. Open the gate. Ororo, if they touch me again, I'll never felt anything so repulsive. So they do it. Alert Brother Royal that 2 more mammals have arrived. Let us pray, brother, that when he is finished with them, they'll be still capable of entertaining us. They say in quotations. So, all right. So it says halfway across the continent. They're far. So here is Sasha with the X-Men and the Warlord here. This is the Badoon base and their Stargate, she says. It links them with a staging complex on a world in your dimension, according to Pathfinder Descendry. The gate was given the Badoon by traders among the Shi'ar. It is evidently easier to attack the Earth from here, though the gate thereby through the gate, thereby taking it entirely by surprise, than to mount an assault from space. Once the Earth has been seized, those same traders will execute a coup d'etat against Empress Lilandra. And Wolverine says, cute. That's open country around there. How do we approach without us being spotted? And Nightcrawler says, I can teleport, though it'll take me a couple or 3 jumps to cover the distance. And she says, excellent, Nightcrawler. I can use an illusion spell to make myself and Wolverine appear as Badoon. And so Wolverine kind of tosses his cigar here. I would conceal you also, Nightcrawler, if I could, but the spell's influence is limited. And Wolverine says, too bad, your world's lit by perpetual sunlight, Sasha. With this coloring, the elf's added disadvantage in the daytime. Night's more his element, mine too. Oh well, can't have everything, I guess. Saddle up, troops. Let's get to work. A moment, my friend. During this battle, will you use your claws? And he says, they ain't here for show, Crawler. Of course, I'll use them. This is war, pal, and I'm a soldier. The Badoon are the enemy. I'm going to show them the same mercy they'd show me. Lay off, Kurt. I don't want to hear you asking Sasha and the warlord's intentions. Killing comes with the territory. It can't be avoided, so don't ask me to hold back, 'cause I won't. And don't try to stop me, 'cause you can't. And he says, I understand, but so must you. We are not merely warriors or even people. We have a responsibility to stand for something greater than ourselves. We represent an ideal, a dream. We must be better than all the best, Logan, in all things. I don't know why this was put in here. Like I said, I don't find that this is Claremont's best work. I really think he's just trying to just fill time. I don't know why in the middle they're ready to go. Why he's like, well, Wolverine, this and this and this. So, but he continues. You are correct. I cannot stop you. But but I can and will make you aware of what you do and how serious it is. The taking of a life, any life, no matter how justified, it is not casual thing. It should never be treated lightly. I may be too old to change, even if I wanted to, says Wolverine. Perhaps, but you're too honorable a man to at least not try. Again, probably not the most appropriate time to do this, but okay. All right, and so the warlord says, "Madness, the very qualities that would make Wolverine a hero in our world make him an outcast in yours. What a shame, what a tragic waste. Farewell, comrades. When we receive your signal, I shall lead my legions against the Badoon encampment. It should be a glorious battle." And so here go our three heroes. And so, um, brother Royal here, he's examining the invisible woman. He says, "You have the most attractive features for mammals. Please me, and you shall live and be well cared for. The alternative, the price of displeasing me, is too terrible to contemplate, as this stubborn fool is discovering." And she yells his name, "Reed!" And he says, "What? You know the Earther guard sees them," and she uses her power and hits them. "That's my husband, Butcher, and if you've harmed him, by all that's holy, I'll make you pay." And so Storm is like, "Well, no point in keeping the cover." So, and she was keeping her clothes invisible underneath that here. "I know I fouled up, Storm, but seeing Reed, that monster gloat, was more than I could bear. I couldn't help myself." And Storm says, "What's done is done, though your timing could have been improved. I'm afraid we're still far from our goal. So I'll fill this corridor with a pea soup fog. That should create enough confusion to allow us to slip past most of the Badoon guards." So why doesn't the invisible woman just turn everybody invisible? But I guess to show Storm's powers, I guess. And it's funny here that she thinks, why doesn't she just say it aloud? Susan, never be ashamed of such love, caring for another. Um, just say it out loud. Goodness gracious. So here come the others, and they hear the alarms. So they decide, well, if the others have been discovered, why not reveal ourselves? So again, it just not Claremont's best, but for completion's sake, we're just gonna keep going here. So they attack here. They break through, but they're you can see here that they do a good job here, and so this guy's gonna release this monster of the Badoon, and so um, now it says here simultaneously in the wildlands. See that this is more like it. They be dressed. So and here comes Nightcrawler here, and he dispatches them, grabs this one, and he's like, "Hold it, Elf! Nightcrawler, don't shoot. Remember that she made him look like Badoons. It's us, Sash, trouble." And she throws a knife, and she goes, "Already taken care of." And Wolverine's like, "Wanna bet?" And here come all the other Badoons here. So, and then Susan is fighting, but this time she's invisible. Why wasn't she invisible the first time? So Storm releases Johnny the Thing and Archon, and Archon's like, "Oh no no." And so now here come the Fantastic Four, and now she's gonna help Reed um, get out. And so you can see the husband and wife here embracing. So, and Storm goes to her Archon here. "What have they done to you? When the Badoons saw they could not break my spirit, they did their best to break my bodies." So now they're all dressed. So it's kind of funny. They went from um, that to this. So here comes the uh, Brother Royal with the army now. See, I feel much better that they have clothes on. So here we go. I'm gonna see if I can complete this issue within the next few minutes here. So, Colossus is moving through. They can't stop him. And Cyclops even makes a comment they haven't brought anything capable of stopping Colossus. But of course, don't show something unless you're going to use it. So, here we go. I love it. By the White Wolf. So, he throws Colossus. You can see he throws him hard. Cyclops tries to use his optic blast, but it's not working. And so you can see it has a blast on Cyclops. He tries to do it on Kitty, but because Kitty's able to phase, so, and she's like, I gotta find a way to help the X-Men here. So she kind of goes through the stones, but the creature, of course, goes through it. And as he does it, the building falls on him. She thinks that she won, but here he comes. She thinks she squashed him, but she did not. So, and of course, Wolverine is like, no, not my Katya or my Katarina. And so, he is very protective of Kitty because eventually these two are gonna have a relationship. So, here they come, and Colossus and this creature are falling here. So it's actually pretty cool to give an idea how far by just making it go and then showing this big explosion. So that's actually pretty cool here. And of course, Kitty's like, Peter. So you can see the crater, and Colossus comes up because, of course, he has to. He says here he was in a bigger berserker rage than even Wolverine. So speaking of Wolverine, now it's his team's turn, and so they're also fighting the other Badoon here. And so you can see Nightcrawler teleporting here to do his part. They see the signal, and so here comes the warriors. So we're about to have a Lord of the Rings fight. And so this guy comes here and says, Brother Royal, I bear grave tidings. The Stargate has been destroyed. Our primary base is sorely pressed. They request immediate aid. What of the humans here in the palace? Have they been dealt with? We tried, leader, but their powers were too much for us. Only I escaped. And he goes, traitor, you dare bring me words of defeat? Exalted One, no. And so he goes, just perish all incompetents and cowards. Our situation is serious, but far from critical. The Stargate can be rebuilt. So long as our central power unit is intact, we will prevail. So, all right. So now we got kind of everybody here fighting. This would be cool if this was kind of animated, because you're seeing just swarms of these Badoon go over and over and over. And so here comes Reed, and he's, of course, a genius. So this battle has been raging without let up for ages, yet none of the Badoon weapons have exhausted their power cells. Can their magazines possibly hold such a concentration of store of energy? Aha, as I suspected, these guns aren't independent powered at all. These magazines are really sophisticated receiver units. They're supplied with energy from an external source, probably over a high-intensity broadcast beam. So basically, digital weapons. That is something. If we neutralize that source, the weapons will become useless. And Argon says, the Badoon sealed off the catacombs beneath my palace and constructed a huge generator. That be it? They need a large permanent system to cover the entire planet. I'll wager it is. Can we get there, Cyclops? Not anytime soon. I'm afraid too much opposition. So, here comes the thing here. Says, wrong kid. I'll get us there in the proverbial jiffy. I've been watching the Hulk pull the stunt like this for years, and anything the old greenskin can do, I can do better. To coin a phrase, it's clobbering time. So, here we go. And Cyclops says, Mr. Grimm, I'm impressed. You know something, pal? Me too. So, big deal. Colossus does stuff like this all the time, says Kitty. So, and he's even posing here. So, and so speaking of, he's there and says, um, they're all happy he's there, and so here's a holographic image of Brother Royal, and so he says, "You have won a firing victory, fools. I have activated the central power unit self-destruct mechanism." So, um, basically, he's gonna blow up the planet. So, and so Reed Richards is not going to let that happen. The margin of safety that Brother Royal allowed himself may boomerang to our advantage. True, the control systems of the CPU are alien, but the physical and scientific principles on which its fundamental design is based are universal. If I can only decipher everything in time. So, here we go. Everybody kind of just doing their own thing. Ben, you and Colossus prevent the firing elements from touching. The reactor is overheating. Storm, create a blizzard to cool it down. Torch, I want you to maintain a localized heat field to keep me from freezing. So, Dr. Richards, the thing in Colossus can't hold it much longer. I'm aware of that, Cyclops, but this requires absolute accuracy. Sue, form your invisible force field into a hollow conduit. Now extend that conduit behind my hand as I guide it into place behind the power unit. Follow the path I indicate exactly. That's it, darling. You're doing fine. So hurry, Stretch. You can see the two of them struggles. And so Cyclops, fire. And so he does with his oh my goodness gracious. I am sorry, I drew a blank here. With his power, with his optic black, thank you. And so he ends up hitting it, destroys it, and so the good guys have won, and the Badoon have been defeated, and Archon is back in power. So that's a lot of words there for Claremont. So Nightcrawler is hurt, and the Vizier says, that he will be able to help him. So we get now to the last 2 pages here. So they're having a victory. I love it in the kind of toga things, very Roman. And so we get finally here is our last page here. And so here comes this girl, and he kind of goes, "Good luck, Colossus," but he recognizes, he turns around, and it is Kitty Pryde, and he's like, "Oh my God, you're so pretty." And so, Ororo, here Archon on the balcony, and so those two kind of are in love, but it's a love that kind of never comes to be here. Archon wants Storm to stay with him and be his queen, but he knows that she can't stay, and he knows that he can't go, so theirs is a love that is just not going to be possible. But they're going to have a little bit of time for themselves, so... and so we end here. Warriors, hear and heed the words of your warlord. All hail Archon, all hail the Fantastic Four, all hail the X-Men. So... here we go. So we end our story here. So, Uncanny X-Men Annual number 5. Chris Claremont and Brent Anderson. Like and subscribe, and I do thank you for listening. Goodbye.